I challenged my second grade students to recreate this image using nothing but AI. It did not go as planned. It went way better. This is what they were able to come up with. And impressive and incredible as that is, the real magic and the fun happened along the way. By the end of this video, you'll not only know exactly how to do this activity with your own students, but you'll also see how not only did this activity develop AI awareness, but also involved a lot of writing skills and team building, which culminated in a sense of connection and belonging for everybody involved. Now, this all started when Christina told me that she had seen a video on TikTok of this guy who showed an image to his class and had them try to recreate it using AI. And they could only use their words to describe the image. So I thought, oh, this is a really cool writing activity where the kids are going to need to use precise language and vocabulary in order to describe the image. Now, I hadn't actually seen this guy's video. I just asked Christina to find it and share it with me so we could give him credit for this video. But what I did was a little bit different.
All right, teachers, you want the best AI website ever for your classroom? This is it. The website's called TwinPics.ai. Daily, there is a picture prompt. It's very visual, and the students have to describe it using only 100 characters or less. The goal is to get as close to...
So for his, it's a single image each day, and the kids have 100 characters or less. My goal was to get the students to create as close to the exact image that they could see with multiple iterations. So they could see that with an AI prompt, it's not just a single prompt and then you're done. You can actually continually make adjustments and changes to get closer to the output that you really want. So in order to give my students an example of what the process will be like, we did this first one together. And here was the prompt. Create a picture of a tiny yellow bird with black lines on its wings. It is standing on a stick. Its beak is open like it's singing. The background is a blurry green color. The bird is in the middle of a picture. Now, the students helped me with this a little bit, but this was mostly me telling the kids what I noticed and then typing it in. And here is what we got. Shockingly, it's almost the exact same picture. If I flip it around and just reverse the image, check that out. It's almost the same picture. And so my students thought, oh man, this is going to be so easy. And they had this unrealistic expectation that a single prompt with just a few sentences would pretty much nail an image. Couldn't be further from the truth. So let's see what happened when it was time to set the kids loose and have them do it themselves. So here again is the image of the maple tree from Portland, Oregon. And this was their goal. This is what they were trying to recreate. Now, one of the students said, let's just ask it to create a maple tree just to see what it does. Let's see how close it gets to our goal image. So that was literally the first prompt, create a maple tree. And here's what it made. So it followed the instructions, it created a maple tree, but the students realized immediately that it's going to require a lot more specific detail in order to get it to look like the one in our goal image, because it's the wrong color, it's the wrong shape. You can see the sky in the background. There's just a lot wrong with it. So we went back to the drawing board. I had the kids talk in pairs and with their neighbors around them because they were sitting on the floor at the moment. And they were discussing everything that they noticed was wrong with this first image created by AI and the specific details and instructions they needed to give in order to get it closer to the goal. At that point, after they had been discussing for a minute or two, I had them go back to their desks and write on paper. And you would have thought that this was the most exciting writing activity of all time. Because for a lot of our students, the first couple of days of school, it was hard to get them to write a sentence or two. And these kids were writing a page and a half in 5, 6, 7 minutes. And many of them did not want to stop. It was really, really incredible. So when it was time for round 2, I had the students come back to the carpet with their paper. And I asked students to pick one sentence from their paper and just share it with me, and I would type it in. So the first student said, create a beautiful maple tree. So in their mind, this red one was beautiful and the green one maybe wasn't. The next student said, with red and orange leaves. So they're specifically describing the color. Then the third student said, with a pond with sparkling water. And if you notice in the background, it's probably hard to see it right now, but in the background of the original image, the goal image, there is a water pond behind the tree. And lots of moss is what the fourth student said. So then at that point, I hit enter, and this is what we got. So the kids were so excited because it did create the pond, it did make red leaves, and it had lots and lots of moss. However, there was a lot still wrong. The pond was in the wrong place. The shape of the tree was still off. So back to the drawing board. Prompt 3. All right, guys, what do we need to tell it in order to iterate it closer to our goal image? A student said, put the pond behind the tree. So they're learning about location, right? That's actually something that emerged with this process, is that I think this activity would be really great for teaching prepositions and prepositional phrases, because you'll notice here that a lot of their instructions had to do with the location of one item relative to something else. The next student said, there's a large stone in the front left foreground covered in moss. I think I might have added the term foreground. I think they might have said in front of the tree or something like that. The third student said, the tree is much closer and the trunk is zigzagging. And then the fourth student said, the tree branches and leaves continue beyond the picture. So that is a lot of vocabulary. And the students are hearing the way that their peers are describing this, and they're picking up either new vocabulary, or it's helping them to reframe the image and how they see it and how they would describe it with these additional thoughts of their peers, which is really cool. So here is the result of prompt 3. Oh, sorry, there was a fifth one that said, there are leaves on the ground. And then check this out. So you can see there is the large stone in the front. There's leaves on the ground. The pond is in the back. The branches are zigzagging. It is so much closer to this original image. And now the kids were so pumped. They're like, we're going to nail this. So then for the fourth prompt, they said, make the image horizontal, because they noticed that it was like portrait mode, tall and skinny. Add orange leaves. Make the tree way bigger with more squiggly branches. And then here's what it did. So by making it horizontal, it made it longer, and more squiggly branches made it look, I mean, this is really incredible. This is very close to the original image. And actually, you can take a look right here. And there was the original photo, and there is the AI image. So I think there was probably a total of maybe 14 instructions or so, like 14 sentences that we use in order to get it this close to the original image. Now, I think if we were not able to iterate and respond to the image that was generated and make adjustments, I don't know that we would have got this close. Because sometimes when something is wrong, it's easier to see what needs to be fixed and changed. And you might not necessarily know that it's a detail that's important to give the AI until you see that it omitted it. So here's the whole progression from start to finish. And I think it's just a really great example of iterating, which is a key part of the design thinking process and prompt engineering process with AI. We tried it a few more times. We tried it with Gemini. I think Gemini, a benefit is that the images are generated way more quickly. It only takes about 12 to 15 seconds, as opposed to ChatGPT, which is closer to 40 seconds per image. So this is an activity that my students ask to do all the time. And I think it's because they're working as a team to solve something together. It's like a game. How close can we get to that image? And as they're working together and they're writing in ChatGPT or in Gemini, which is a large language model, they're developing more awareness about AI, how it works, how they can interact with it, and the type of output that it can create. And I think as we get more into this AI-infused world, the more important AI literacy is going to be for young kids, even if they're not directly interacting with AI all the time. And together, as they were crafting these prompts and adding their sentences, they're working as a team, but also iterating the image. And that's part of the design thinking process and something that we want all kids to experience and learn. And as they were listening to each other's writing sentences, as they were sharing them, they were learning from each other, whether it's picking up different vocabulary or just seeing maybe a new detail from the image they hadn't seen themselves. And all of this together created a lot of camaraderie and teamwork, which created connection and belonging. So if you would like to do this activity with your class, here are the steps and my suggestions. First, you're going to want to choose a compelling Creative Commons image to recreate. So compelling just means make it interesting to your students, make sure there's enough going on that it's not going to be a one shot like the yellow bird image was for us. And then Creative Commons is an organization that allows creators to share their content with certain permissions. Here is search.creativecommons.org, and you can see I'm just typing in maple tree, and then it's popping up different images of maple trees that people have given permission for others to use. And here you can read the license and specifically what they require. And if you click that link, it goes into more detail. Next, you're going to want to spend some time studying and discussing the image as a class. One of the benefits is having the kids attend to detail, look and study and notice all the little nuances, and then sharing with one or two other students what they see before they then go and write their description. So that's part 3. Have students write a detailed description. It's their ticket to share. At least that's what I like to say. If you were in a hurry, you wouldn't have to do this step, but I do think it is such a great opportunity to have the kids spend time writing with a real authentic purpose that motivates them to really get detailed. 4, build a short prompt together. So I would usually have 3, 4, or 5 kids share a sentence. So you have, 3, 4, or 5 different ideas to generate. Then you generate and review the image together. And then, of course, you revise and repeat, which is the iteration process, until you as a teacher are satisfied or your time is up or your amount of rounds is up based on how many you told them they could do. So that is how an AI art activity accidentally led to one of the best writing activities of the year. If you enjoyed this video, maybe you want to try it yourself, and you're interested in more of these ideas of how AI can be used for connection and belonging in the classroom, you can subscribe to our free newsletter at remixteachers.com, or you can watch this next video to get even more ideas. See you then.